Have you ever stopped to wonder why a hot cup of coffee always goes cold, but a cold one never just heats itself up? Or why a smell from the kitchen can fill the whole house, but never magically shrinks back into the oven? Well, the science that answers the fundamental why behind all of this, and pretty much everything else, is thermodynamics. So let's dive in and unpack the rules that govern our entire universe.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Albert Einstein, yeah, that guy, called thermodynamics the one physical theory he was convinced would never be overthrown. Now, when a mind like Einstein's puts that much faith in something, you know it's not just another theory. It's basically the universe's unbreakable rulebook.
All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the big questions that thermodynamics sets out to answer. Then, we'll get the basic lingo down, systems and surroundings. After that, we'll tackle the two big ones, the first and second laws. And finally, we'll see how something called Gibbs free energy wraps it all up and acts as the ultimate decider.
So, let's start at the beginning. What is the grand mission of thermodynamics? What are the huge cosmic secrets that it's actually trying to unlock for us?
Well, it turns out it gives us the power to answer a handful of incredibly important questions that have puzzled scientists for ages. For starters, it lets us figure out the exact energy changes in any reaction. But more than that, it can predict whether a reaction will even happen spontaneously. Will it go or won't it? And if it does go, what's pushing it forward and how far will it get before it just stops? It's basically the ultimate chemical crystal ball. Okay, before we can get to the famous laws, we need to learn how to speak the language. And the absolute first step is setting the scene. We've got to define our system and its surroundings. Let's go back to that cup of coffee. If we want to study why it's getting cold, the coffee itself is our system. It's the specific thing we're focused on. Everything else, the mug it's in, the air in the room, the table, you, me, all of that is the surroundings. So the system is our main character, and the surroundings are literally the rest of the universe it interacts with. Simple, right? Now, we can classify these systems based on how they play with their surroundings. You've got an open system, like an uncovered cup of tea. It can trade energy, the heat escaping, and matter, the steam rising off it. Then there's a closed system. Put a lid on that cup. Now, energy can still get out, but the steam, the matter, is trapped. And finally, you have the ideal isolated system, like a perfect thermos, which in theory exchanges absolutely nothing. So, with our terms down, we are ready to tackle the first great law of thermodynamics. This is the absolute bedrock, the foundational rule of all energy. And the law itself, it's beautifully simple. You can't create energy, and you can't destroy it. That's it. All you can do is move it around or change its form. The total amount of energy in the universe has been and always will be exactly the same. It is the ultimate conservation law. And of course, this giant idea gets captured in a neat little equation. It basically says that any change in a system's internal energy, that's the delta U, is just the sum of the heat you add to it and the work you do on it. So let's break that down real quick. Delta U is kind of like the change in your energy bank account balance. Q is any heat flowing in or out, like putting a flame under it or letting it cool down. And W is work. That's energy being used to do something, like a gas expanding to push a piston. It's just a perfect, simple accounting system for energy. Okay, but here's a puzzle. The first law is great, but it says nothing about the direction of things. It doesn't explain why coffee only gets cold. For that, we need the second law, which reveals that the universe is basically a one-way street. I mean, think about it. The first law would be perfectly happy if all the air molecules in your room suddenly decided to huddle in one corner. The total energy would be the same. So why doesn't that ever happen? What's the force that dictates this one-way flow from order to disorder? Well, the answer is one of the most powerful and honestly mind-bending concepts in all of science: entropy. Put simply, entropy is just a measure of disorder or randomness. So here on the left, we see a state of low entropy. Everything's neat and tidy. The gas molecules are all contained on one side. You can predict where they are. It's like a perfectly clean room. But you take that barrier away, and boom, the system naturally moves to this state on the right, a state of high entropy. The molecules are all mixed up, they're chaotic, they're way less predictable. It's a messy room. And this is the direction that nature always prefers. And this brings us to the heart of the second law. For any spontaneous process, the total entropy, the total messiness of the entire universe always increases.
The universe is on an irreversible, one-way trip toward maximum disorder. Okay, this is cool. So we have two huge forces at play. On one hand, systems like to settle down into a state of lower energy. But on the other hand, the whole universe wants to become more disordered. So which one wins? That brings us to our final piece, the concept that delivers the final verdict.
We can almost think of it as a personality clash. On one side, you have enthalpy, which you can think of as a system's drive to reach a lower energy state, its tendency to be lazy. And on the other side, you have entropy, the universe's relentless push towards more disorder, its tendency to be messy.
So in every single chemical reaction, you have this cosmic tug of war, the drive to get lazy versus the drive to get messy. Who wins? Who's the referee that makes the final call?
Well, the referee is Gibbs free energy, known as G, and this beautiful little equation is the ultimate decider. It masterfully balances the lazy factor, H for enthalpy, against the messy factor, S for entropy, all while taking the temperature, T, into account. And the verdict it gives is crystal clear. We just look at the change in Gibbs energy, or delta G. If delta G is negative, it's a green light. The process will happen all on its own. If delta G is positive, it's a red light. It's not going to happen spontaneously. And if delta G is 0, the forces are perfectly balanced. The system is at peace, in equilibrium.
So why does all this matter? Because this cosmic balancing act between being lazy and being messy is what determines what's possible in our universe. It predicts everything, from whether wood will burn in a fire to how the cells in your body break down sugar to give you energy right now. It finally, and so elegantly, gives us the answer